going on YouTube? It is Repost back another video. In today's video, we have a Chelsea news video. Hour and a half before kickoff, lineups will be released in the next 45 minutes or so. So maybe pretty much as this video goes up, the lineup's going to be out for the Chelsea game versus Palmeiras. But there's a lot of news today that I think we should cover. So let's just jump straight into it. To begin, we know there's been a rumor going around about Madueke going to Arsenal. And Ed Aarons, as well as others on Guardian Sport, reported today that he could be open to joining Arsenal, and even though Chelsea value him at £50 million, he could be available for about $40 million. I don't agree with this at all. In terms of the price, we saw Lenga go to Nottingham Forest for £55 million, I believe. Maybe base fee, maybe there's add-ons in there. I don't really know, but we paid Gittins for 55. So Madueke should be around that price bracket as well, and I think he will be. I think this is just a report to bring the price down, to be honest. I think this is an Arsenal brief to try to get his value down, or a Chelsea brief to, prepare the fan base for the amount they're about to sell him for, because it technically is profit on the books. But no, I don't think this is the price at all. I don't agree with this price at all. I would want to sell him for around 60 million, to be honest. I think that's where we should be aiming for, is around 60 million pounds. If not, we get 55, 50 at the very least, but we should be nowhere in the 40s, even around 40. High 40s, I'd say, is a bargain for Arsenal. Sorry, I was drinking water, but yeah, I think like 45, 47 and a half would still be a good deal for Arsenal. Once we get to the 50s, I'd start to say, hey, we got decent value for him. I can rationalize this. I don't really like the player in Madueke, to be honest. I've said it multiple times. I'm not really a fan of his game. I do think he's impactful for us, though. Like, I'm not gonna hinder his impact on the team, but I am gonna say I don't like his style of play. Just on my eye. That's just my opinion. I'm gonna affirm my opinion. I'm always gonna say my opinion. But I can recognize that he does have an impact on this team. He definitely has a role here. And I wouldn't be mad if he goes. I wouldn't be mad if he stays. I'd rather him go, but I'd be more inclined, or like I'd be willing to let him stay as well, and just welcome him back with open arms, because I do think he's an impactful player for us, but I just don't like the way he plays that winger position. I like more flair. I like more pace, directness. I know he's very good on 1v1 situations, but I think it's the final third that really gets me for players. I think he's just not very good in that final third, and I want him to be more decisive. In terms of directness, I misspoke right there. I think he is very direct and always getting to the byline, always cutting in and shooting, but I just think that he needs to make better decisions and really polish his game with shooting technique and things like that. I think he can get a lot better, because he only has one shot right now, and that's cut in on his left foot and try to curl it, and most of the times it's a tame effort. But I can understand he has a very good impact on our team, and was solid for us enough last season to provide an impact to help us get Champions League in that early part of the season. Definitely helped us get up there in the table, so thank him for his impact. But yeah, I would want to sell him. I'd be more inclined to sell him than inclined to keep him, but then again, I'd welcome him with open arms if he stays, just because he's not my ideal type of winger, but I think Maresca does like to use him. But there's more. Fabrizio Romano says that he can confirm that Nani Madueke is open to moving to Arsenal. And I know a lot of people are calling him snakes and stuff, but no, this is not true. Us as a fan base have said we'd be open to selling him. He probably doesn't feel all that wanted here if he looks on social media and sees all the fans that are like, yeah, you can sell Nani Madueke. It's not that big of a deal. We have Esteval coming in. Pedro Neto's been playing well. There's no spot for Madueke here. Pretty much as a fan base, we forced him out, so it's not really like he's snaking us by going to Arsenal. It's just he's doing what he feels is best for his career, and if that's what it is, then that's what it is, and you can't really fault a player for that at all. I do definitely think we have a better trajectory than Arsenal, to be honest. I don't know, the way they play, and I think a lot of bad stuff is about to happen to the club. We saw the Thomas Partey report. He got charged with rape the day he left for Arsenal, so they definitely knew about it. I don't know if there's going to be an investigation on the club or anything like that. I doubt, but it just looks horrible. It's a really bad light to put onto Arsenal, that they kept a player that, has been undergoing investigation for a while, since 2021, 2022, and they kept singing his name, praising him. And everyone knew what was going on, but yeah, it's just a really bad light for the club. But I don't think it's Madueke being a snake by going there. I do think Chelsea is has a brighter future. I think they have a lot of players with a lot more potential that are just going to grow and continue to up the trajectory of the club. But yeah, he's open to the move, and I think that's to be expected with the way that we've treated him as a fan base as of recent. So yeah, he's open to moving to Arsenal, and I kind of expect him to go. Fabrizio clarifies there's no bid yet to Chelsea, but there are talks ongoing with his camp to see personal terms, how much wages he wants, what's the agent fee, the total package, and then they'll finally talk to Chelsea after all that is agreed. But yeah, I do expect him to go to Arsenal. If I were to place a bet, I'd put it on Nani Madueke leaving the club rather than him staying. But just personal terms, trying to get agreed as of now, nothing yet. In terms of bidding to Chelsea, I know they have Eze on their radar too, but it might be both instead of just one. Eze on the left, Madueke on the right, because we know Saka might be riddled with injuries next season. He has for the last two, or maybe it was just the last one, but he was riddled with injuries, so you could expect Madueke to get game time if he does go through that door. In terms of his replacement, we already know that we're looking at Mohamed Kudus, and these are the three teams that Ed Aaron says that Chelsea, Newcastle, and Man United still hold interest in Kudus. West Ham would want to do business for around £60 million, but we're unimpressed with the Spurs proposal of £50 million plus 5 to be paid over 5 years, which, yeah, that's an awful deal. Obviously, West Ham hates Spurs too. They're going to jack up that price as much as they're going to jack up the price with us. Yeah, I don't know what that Spurs proposal is to be paid over 5 years. That's what, 11 million a year. That's an awful proposal. I think you would want to do around like £60 million spread across 2 or 3 if you're West Ham. Obviously, Chelsea are probably going to do 65 over 4 rather than 55 or 60 across 3. Just to balance the books out. But there's the price tag on Kudus. I do want him to come through the door. I told you all the last news video, I think it was, that I've been watching his game and I really like what I see from him, especially in that middle channel. He's very good at 10 spot, progressing the ball, but he is able to dribble enough to play on the right as well as clinical enough to play through the center. So he can play through across the entire front four, but just predominantly on that right side. And then João Pedro is pretty much his counterpart, does the same thing on that left side. So yeah, I'd be happy to bring Kudus in, especially as a Nani replacement, especially if the business is 60 million for Nani Madueke out, 60 million for Kudus in. Be more than happy with that. But y'all know what I think of Kudus. I'd really like him to come through the door. I think he is at a better level than Nani Madueke is, and I think he could help us in the Champions League as well as the Premier League. And that 60 million fee is not that high compared, we paid that for João Pedro. We paid 51 for Gittins, so 60 for Kudus in the retrospective is not that bad at all, especially if you offload Madueke for around a similar price to that. So I'd be more than happy for him to be the replacement for Madueke. In terms of the club, we got hit today. We got fined by Uefa. Got fined 31 million euros with a further 60 million conditional for breaches of its financial rules. And this is because Chelsea failed to comply with FFP rules over the financial years ending 2023 and 2024. And then Ben Jacobs clarifies it that we have agreed to a 4-year settlement and a total fine of £60 million, of which 17.2 is unconditional. Chelsea have been further fined £9.4 million for breaking a squad cost ratio rule. So this is pretty much it clarified that Chelsea is only going to pay a total of £26 million to UEFA. The rest of the £51 million will not be paid unless we breach again within the next 4 years. And we know new wage structure, pretty much new way to spend our money. We're pretty good on FFP. We can see our PSR. I know that doesn't apply to UEFA, but you can see we're comfortable in that category, so we're definitely comfortable in terms of European FFP as well. Squad cost ratio is not much at all. We're not paying that high wages. Yeah, we're not really spending all that much. Obviously, we're paying a lot on the fees, but the fees don't really matter. It's total payroll. So yeah, we're pretty much only paying 26 million. I know this number right here, 69 million pounds, seems like a lot, but it's not much at all. It's only 26 million pounds, and I tweeted this earlier. I think I tweeted it under this post actually, that we win tonight, that's 20 million pounds in the bank. That's pretty much the entire fee or fine covered. So you know, for a club of Chelsea stature, that's pretty much a slap on the wrist. Nothing to really be concerned about. So, you know, happy that we came to a settlement rather than getting a big punishment, because this doesn't go towards FFP PSR. We just pay it off and we're fine, and it doesn't take anything out of our books. We just pay the fine, and I'm sure Bully's just like, all right, whatever, just take the money. As well as Iqbali, they're just like, all right, at least we came to a settlement deal. Just take the money and run. And you know, don't bother us again because we're not gonna breach. So 26 million out our owners' pockets, but not out of Chelsea's books. So not a bad thing at all. So yeah, we can just take that slap on the wrist and move on. Other than that, there's something weird that went on in terms of Jamie Gittins, excuse me. Borussia Dortmund tweeted out, I believe this was yesterday, that Borussia Dortmund's offensive player Jamie Gittins, age of 20, is on the verge of a transfer to English Premier League club Chelsea FC. All parties involved agreed in principle on this today, Thursday. Yeah, so it would have been yesterday because today's Friday. In Fort Lauderdale, USA, the contractual deals are still being finalized. This was before Chelsea even announced anything, so yeah, little random that, you know, the selling club was the first team to announce it rather than, you know, the team that brought in the player with their own announcement. You know, they weren't able to break it. It was Borussia Dortmund that broke the news. Obviously, we know, we got the here we go and all that, you know, Jamie Gittins is joining Chelsea. We knew this for a while, but, you know, clubs haven't announced it. I expected it to come at the end of the tournament, but apparently not. Yeah, it seems he's on the verge of being announced in terms of Chelsea, but the sporting director also spoke about it, that Jamie is an outstanding player who has given us a great deal of pleasure. He now wants to take the next step in his career with Chelsea, and we wish all the best and much success. Respect to the sporting director. You know, Jamie Gittins definitely wanted to move back to England. You saw the video on like the mini deadline day that, you know, he was pretty much storming out because he wanted to move, and nothing happened. Didn't play for them much in the second half of the season because obviously he was playing out of position, so they didn't really play him out of position that much because they realized he wouldn't have that much of an impact. He's a lot better as a touchline winger, but yeah, really good player. And I'm happy to see him come through the door. But, you know, again, it was announced by Borussia Dortmund, still hasn't been announced by Chelsea. And when Maresca was asked in the press conference at like pretty much a day ago, he was asked about Jamie Gittins. He said, I don't have any update. Is it official? I was on the flight watching the Palmeiras game again. I don't have any information on that. So, you know, he can tell that the club hasn't made it official. He also said, like, I think something can happen there. Pretty much saying, yeah, the deal's done, but it just hasn't been announced. But yeah, it's weird that, you know, Borussia Dortmund have announced it for a day and a half now and nothing's happened on Chelsea's part. But, you know, it's match day for us. Obviously, we're all focused on the game, focused on getting the win, going into the semifinal, and playing Fluminense, who actually beat Al Hilal 2-1 today. In a shock result, in my opinion. I thought Al Hilal were going to sweep the floor with them, but apparently not. So, you know, 2 Chelsea players in back-to-back games. We have Esteval today, and if we win today, then we play Thiago Silva on the 9th? No, on the 11th. I can see right now, actually. Won't take long at all. See when we play our game if we were to win this one. Obviously, we play this one in an hour and 30 minutes, and then we would play on the 8th, actually, and then the final on the 13th. So 4 days, and we'll play Fluminense if we win tonight, which I expect us to. Again, my prediction was 3-1 on my previous video, so go check that out if you want to know all things Chelsea and Palmeiras. But yeah, that is all. Thank you so much for watching. Good to be back on talking Chelsea, talking news. Obviously, yesterday was not the day to do it at all. Again, prayers to Diogo Jota. You saw Ruben Neves crying at the game today. I don't know if Prejaneta is going to play today or not. We'll see when the lineup's released. But yeah, really sad to hear. Just didn't feel right to make anything football related yesterday. But yeah, thank you again so much for watching. And as always, it's Repulse, and I'm out. Peace.